Oh, hello everybody. I can see myself, so I guess I'm alive. Let me set up a few things. We will start soon. Okay, it looks like that my presentation is not opening, so let me restart my computer and I will come back to you like in 2 minutes. Okay, it looks like that now it's working. And before we start, let's give the others like 2 or 3 minutes to join. But before we start, let me let you know that I set up a Slido channel again, so you can go to slide.do/data36 and you can ask your questions there. It's a pretty cool software because you can upvote the questions that you like and you don't have to ask twice. So I go to slide.do/data36 and I will have polls there as well. And the first poll will be about the sound quality. Okay, I start. So please go first to slide.do/data36. You can find the link under the YouTube video as well. And I start the poll that asks that is the sound and the video okay. And please vote so I can understand. Okay, good. I can see that 7 people have okay sound and video connection. Not perfect for few. I guess it means that from my side the connection is alright, and from your side, for those who doesn't have good enough sound and video, I think that the issue might be on your side. Okay, then I will stop this poll and hope everyone had enough time to join to us, and I will just start my presentation of today. Solving some data science job interview questions. I guess this is a pretty related topic for most of the aspiring data scientists and data analysts. As you know, you might have prepared for this, but maybe you haven't been part of a data science job interview ever. So I thought that it might be a good idea to show you how you can imagine this. And how I put together the presentation of tomorrow, it was based on my personal experience from both sides. So I have been hired, obviously, but I was hiring as well when I did my own company. Also, I had many friends who are data scientists and data analysts, and they have been hired and they have been part of these processes. And yeah, and based on that, mostly the concrete questions what I will have here, mostly I googled them, and I will show you the sites where you can find similar questions. But let's go into this. Anyway, I'm Tomi Mester, the author of the Data Junior Data Scientist. As I said, once upon a time, a few years ago, I had my own consultancy and I hired junior data scientists. What I did, that first, when someone applied for a position, I sent out a case to solve. It needed like 2 or 3 hours of active working on the case, and I asked them to send back their results, and based on that I could evaluate that are they good enough junior analyst or not. Also, when I started this, I also held courses, and I just simply selected the best members of these courses and offered them a position at my company. And if I sent out a case, then, and also after the courses what I held, I set up a meeting with them to check if the personal fit is there or not. And after that, I just gave them a pilot project, which was an actual project of a client. Of course, I got involved in this project very deeply, so I helped them a lot. But during this first pilot project, it pretty much turned out that they are good enough or not. And I guess this is the best way of hiring, but apparently this is only my opinion. Also, many big companies don't do it this way. How big companies are hiring junior data scientists? What you will find that there are many whiteboard interviews when you have to write actual code to the whiteboard. There are many tech screenings, and there are also some kind of interviews called stress interviews. And what my problem is with stress interviews and whiteboard interviews, that data analysis and data science is not really a stressful job. So if you go into a stress interview, it won't show it how good analyst are you, because as an analyst or a data scientist, you have to think when you are solving a process, and when you have to write a code and you have to iterate on your code, for instance. But if you have to write a code like this on a whiteboard, that's not too realistic, and this is not something that you would do during your actual job. But the fact is that this is how it is. So not just big companies, but mid-sized companies are doing this, and it's better if you prepare to that. The third important thing, that what you can expect, that this is not a university exam, which means that you can expect less theoretical questions, and you won't meet questions like explain the difference between linear regression and classification, or introduce and explain what collaborative filtering is, and similars. And I think this is great, because these kind of questions are easily, you can Google them, you can find the answers, you can learn the answers, but it tells nothing about that how you can apply them in real life cases. And what they will ask on these job interviews, more like that, how practically you know these things. Most probably something like, we have this problem, how would you solve this, and why this way you would solve this. So expect very practical questions. The fourth thing that is good to know, that if you made the CV round, so if you pass the CV round and if you solve the case, for instance, then most probably you are in a very good position. It's good to know that it's really hard to find good data scientists, even junior data scientists. It's really hard to find smart data analysts as well. And if you made it to the first interview, you are in a good position and they actually want to hire you. Also, regarding this topic, this is a two-sided interview. Every interview situation is a two-sided interview, means you can say no as well. If you don't like the company, if you don't like the interview process, you can say no, because if they hire you but you don't like them, this is what you do 8 hours per day. This is a big part of your life, so feel free to say no if you don't like the company. There are some rare cases which is good if you know about, that there are many companies, they want to hire data scientists or data analysts. Most probably they don't have any in their organization, and because of that they don't really know what they want. You can easily filter these kind of job descriptions, because you will find many buzzwords in that, like we have big data solutions implemented, for instance, Google Analytics. So if you know a bit about big data and a bit about Google Analytics, you will know that this is bullshit. And try to skip this kind of interviews. So if the company doesn't know what the company wants with a data scientist, then it might be a tough job to do. And one more thing, that if you fail on the interview, it's don't look at it as a fail. It's more like a mismatch. So if you didn't pass, for instance, the tech screening, then most probably you would not enjoy the job, what you should do, because it would be too much above your skills. It's good to find a job that matches your skills, and don't look at it as a fail if you don't pass the interviews. So this was the short intro, and I just double check if everything's great with the connection. Oh, a question. Yes, I will send out the link of this YouTube video. It's gonna be an unlisted YouTube video, which means that you who are here and who signed up to this webinar, you will get a link for it and you can watch it anytime. I will keep it up there. Also, I will send it out to my newsletter subscribers, but anyway, it won't be any available for others on YouTube. But yes, you can watch it. And I assume that because nobody put a question about the quality of the stream to Slido, I will answer this other question later. I assume that the quality of the stream is right, and we can jump on the exact actual job interview questions. Okay. So what you can expect, that there will be 3 big topics what these job interview questions will be about. What I will show you, this gonna be junior data science job interview questions and junior data analytics job interview questions. So I will show you a mix. And because this is a junior thing, you can expect that these are gonna be very easy questions, but still they might be tricky sometimes, especially if you are in an interview. But there are three major topics. These three major topics are the topics that you have to be good at if you are a data analyst or a data scientist. These are statistics, coding, and business thinking. And what's the difference between a junior data science job interview and between a junior data analytics job interview? Well, the difference will be very tiny, but as a data scientist, you most probably will work on more like predictions, machine learning things, more scientific things. As a data analyst, you will most probably work on reporting and optimizing and similar stuff. The difference is really tiny, and the job interview questions will be really similar. But let's go with the first part, statistics screening. I will show you here 4 different job interview questions. The first one is gonna be really easy. The last one is gonna be a bit more difficult. And in each cases, I give you 1 minute to think about it. Obviously, 1 minute won't be enough to solve the cases, or actually if you are really smart you can solve it just like this, but you don't have to solve this in 1 minute. And again, how I collected these questions, I will have the source of the question on each of the slides, but mostly I googled them. I collected them from Reddit and from Glassdoor, and you can find similar questions there. Statistics screening. First question. You have a triangle with 3 ends on different corners of the triangle. The 3 ends start walking on the sides of the triangle with the same speed. Each of them choose the direction randomly. What is the probability that either 2 of the ends or all of the ends will meet? So I give you 1 minute from now, and then I will show you the solution. You have a triangle with 3 ends on the different corners of the triangle. The 3 ends starts walking on the sides of the triangle with the same speed. Each of them choose the direction randomly. What is the probability that either 2 of the ends or all of the ends will meet? In the meantime, I check Slido again. Again, feel free to ask questions on Slido and upvote the different questions on Slido. I will answer them at the end of the webinar. And also, the 1 minute's done. Also, if you if you want to ask questions, you can go to slide.do/data36 or find the link below the YouTube video. But I will show the solution for this case. What I like to do, and I really recommend for you to do, even if you are on an actual interview, is to draw. In this case, I drew up the triangle and the 3 ends. And what I want to understand here, that how many different cases and different scenarios can happen. Every end can go into 2 different directions, which means with 50-50% chance, so left or right. And all possible scenarios will be, because of that, 2 multiple 2, 2 multiple 2, all in all 8 different scenarios are there, and we have to select the scenarios where the ends do not meet. And there are only 2 scenarios: A, when all the ends go left, turn left and go that direction. The other scenario is when all the ends go right and they don't meet. But every other cases they meet. So because of that, 6 divided by 8, 75% is the chance that they will meet. This was the first one. As you can see, it was a pretty easy one, but this was an actual data analyst job interview question. This is gonna be a bit more difficult. There is a room with a lamp in it. The lamp can be on or off. 3 of your friends came out of the room. You ask each independently if the lamp is on or off. Each of your friends has a 2/3 chance of telling you the truth and a 1/3 chance of messing with you by lying. All 3 friends tell you that the lamp is on. What is the probability that the lamp is actually on in the room? Okay, I give you 1 more minute again to solve this case, and it starts now. Okie doke, so you had enough time to at least think about it, and I'm gonna show you the solution. Again, it's really good in this kind of tricky, because this is a bit more tricky than the previous one. In this kind of tricky statistics task, it's good to draw, and it's good not to panic. So if you are on the interview, feel free to ask for time. Say that you need 10 minutes to think about this, and they will give you 10 minutes to think about that. What I will do here is that I will scratch up the different scenarios regardless what the answer was. We know that all of them said yes, the lamp is on, but regardless of that, I will sketch up the different scenarios about the lies or telling the truth. What's the probability that all of them are lying? We know that with a 1/3 chance each will lie, which means that this is the chance 1 divided by 27 that all of them will lying. What's the chance that all of them are telling the truth? It's pretty much the same logic what we had at the end anyway. And what's the chance that 2 of them are lying, 1 tells the truth, or 1 is lying and 2 people tell the truth? And these are the rest of the cases. On this slide I talk about probability, but again it's good to sketch up the different scenarios. So I will translate this in, I will put this a bit different on the other slide. There are 27 cases all in all, and in one case of these 27 cases, all of them are lying. In 18 cases of these 27, 2 of them are lying and 1 is telling the truth, or 1 is lying and 2 of them are telling the truth. And in 8 cases, all of them are telling the truth. We know this because of the previous slide. We know this by basic probability calculations. But here comes the tricky part. What we know, that all of them answered yes, the lamp is on. And if you think about it, this is only possible if either all of them are lying or all of them are telling the truth. But it's not possible that 2 of them are lying or 1 of them tells the truth, or 1 is lying and 2 of them are telling the truth. If they say yes, 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 it means that all of them are lying and all of them are telling the truth, which means that from the 27 different scenarios, we can forget 18 different scenarios, and we will keep only one case when all of them are lying, and 8 other cases when all of them are telling the truth. And this means that the answer is 8 divided by 8 plus 1, and this is the actual probability that the lamp is actually on. If you don't fully understand this, as I said, I will send out this video. You can watch my slides back. This is a tricky one, so you most probably should think about it. And here's the third case. You toss, and you can ask about it. I will answer the questions after the webinar again. Here's the third case, the third task. You toss a fair coin, so you flip a fair coin with a 50-50% chance it's gonna be head or tail. That's what a fair coin means. How could you use it to choose with equal probability 1 out of 3 options? Translated this question that you have a coin that you can look like on it as a random generator that generates 50-50% head or tail, but you would like to turn this random generator into a random generator that can 33% chance generate random things. Okay, I give you again 1 minute. You toss a fair coin, 50-50% for head or tail. How could you use it to choose with equal probability 1 out of 3 options? Oops, I added 2 off. Okay, the 1 minute is gone. I found these questions on Reddit/r/math, so on the math subreddit, and there is a pretty long discussion about it. But in this case, the solution will be flip the coin twice, and there gonna be 4 different outcomes of this flip, of this double flip. It could be head head, head tail, tail head, or tail tail, and each of them, of course, 25% probability. The big question is that how can you turn this into 33% probability? And the trick is that you should just simply remove one of the 4 options, and with that you will have 33% probability for each of the remainders. And how can you remove telltale? It's simple. You have to retoss the coin, reflip it, with other words, which means that there is a theoretical chance that you have to flip your coins forever, but practically it won't happen. It's gonna be a good solution for this task. And I guess I said that I will have 4 cases, but I actually only had 3, which means these were the statistics questions. Some of these questions are not necessarily even part of a junior data science job interview. It can be a higher level job interview, but as these were pretty easy to answer, I thought that this is gonna be a good fit for this webinar. Next part, coding screening. If you pass the statistics screening, they will look after how good you are at coding. And again, this is a junior data science interview, which means that you don't have to be the best coder or the best engineer in the world. And if you think about it, that coding is nothing else in your hands but tools, how you will process the data. And I would say that even if you don't know any coding languages, you can learn each of them in 1 month if you are really actively doing it on the job and if you are learning it on the job. But usually if you go to a junior data science or a junior data analytics job interview, they will look after your coding skills because they don't want you to spend 1 month with only learning coding things. I will show you 3 different tasks in 3 different languages, Python, SQL, and R, which are the most common languages. If you have been at the previous webinar, then you have already seen those languages demoed. But yes, you don't have to know all the 3. If you will have a task, usually you can choose which languages would you like to have. I will show you 3 random examples of this kind of tasks. The first one is the Python one, and this is create a Python function that prints the first X Fibonacci number. And if you are not familiar with Fibonacci numbers, you can generate Fibonacci numbers like the first 2 elements are 1 and 1, and all the elements after, so the third one is generated by 1 plus 1 equals 2, then the fourth element is 1 plus 2 equals 3. So the previous element the summary of the previous 2 elements will generate the actual element. So 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 2 plus 3 equals 5, 3 plus 5 equals 8, and so forth and so on. In this case, I won't give you 1 minute because you won't be, most probably you don't have a Python an IPython notebook or a Jupyter notebook in your browser, but I do. And I will open up a new IPython notebook. All right, and yes, so how it works. First, if you are in the coding screening part, then don't get scared. If you don't know the answer immediately, you can iterate on your answers. So I will just start like this, generate the third element of the print, of the Fibonacci numbers. Yes, But the big question is that how can I make this into a loop? And for that, you will most probably need a for loop. It means that I will do this loop 10 times, and if I run this again, I will have 10 different 2's on my screen. They are not different, they are just 2's. And the big trick is that if I want to make this 2 to a 3, then I have to change these a and b variables. And if I go back to my presentation, let me put this this way. Oops. A, B, C. So C is generated as the summary of A plus B, and the fourth element, so this 3, should be generated as the summary of the previous B plus C. So the trick will be that this B variable will go into a new A variable, and this C variable will go into a B variable. And with that said, I guess these will fix my issue here. Exactly, we already have the Fibonacci numbers printed, but the task was really specific about that we should have a Python function here. I will put this whole thing into a function. Which will look like def Fibonacci. And I add here the parameters. It can be anything. I will add maybe it's not the best, but I can have let's say call it number of iterations and A and B. This is my function, and I will call my function as well Fibonacci. The number of iteration, let's have it as it was 10, and I run it again. Yes, and from now anytime if I want to have 15 different iterations, oops, I have to change this range 10 to number of iterations. If I want to have 15 different iterations, then it's 15. If I don't want to start it with 1 and 1 as A and B, I can change it as well, but as these are the Fibonacci first 2 elements of the Fibonacci numbers, I would not recommend to change it. But this is the correct solution. Actually, you can remove A and B. This is a very easy Python task. Again, you can look back to this video and understand the code itself, but this is how you should solve it. And let's go to the next task, which is gonna be an SQL case. You have 2 SQL tables. The first one is called tweets, and you have user ID, tweet ID, and likes in this table. I made up this case, so this is not an official Twitter data science job interview question or something. I just made it up. And on the second table you have user ID and followers, and the question is, the task is to print the number of followers and the number of tweets for the top 3 users with the most likes. So again, print the number of followers on the second table, and the number of tweets for the top 3 users with the most likes. Usually these kind of tasks, these basic SQL tasks are if it's an interview, it will be a whiteboard interview, most probably, but I will go into pgadmin because I have just set it up for myself, these tables, and I will show you how you can find out the correct query in an iterative way. Of course, pgadmin has a treble. With the connection. Okay, now it's connected. Hopefully, at least. Anyway, if you are wondering that how can you get these pgadmin tools, the IPython notebook I used, or the RStudio that I will show you in the next case, I've written an article about it, and I will send you a follow-up email with this article, and you can set all these tools for yourself up for free practically. But now stick with the case. Okay, I show you the two tables I have. Select everything from tweets. This is the very same table what we have, and select everything from users. And the first thing what we will do, that we will join these two tables. This is a task that it's the best, it's not the only way to solve, but the best to solve this with the join. Or actually maybe the only way to solve this is with join, but I will do it anyway. I will join these tables based on the user ID field. Both of the table contains the user ID field. Great, I have the join table, and again, I'm solving this case iteratively. I don't write the final code for first on my pgadmin surface. I'm thinking about it, and I'm checking the results, and I'm iterating. And even if you have a whiteboard interview, you can do the same. You just have to imagine the different results of your query. And I won't select everything from this table, but first I will select the user ID, and this is a joined table. I have to put it like this, users.userid. I will select the summary of the likes, because they asked me to put with the most likes. Yes, user ID, no, users dot no, sorry, tweets dot like, and I want to count that how many different tweets they had. Tweets dot tweet ID, and I guess I don't want to select. Yes, they asked me to select the number of followers as well. And if you have ever done this sum or count function in SQL, then you know that this group by feature should follow it. So I will group them by users.userid. And if I run this query, I have likes, I guess. Yeah, I mistyped something. Yes, I have the summarized number of likes, I have the number of followers and I have the count of the different tweets. The only thing back is to make is to order this table by the second column in this case, in a descending order, and print only the top 3 players, and boom, this is the answer. Maybe this is not the nicest SQL query what you can write, but it looks like that it definitely works. Okay, and the third task is the R. You have the zoo.tsv dataset. I put this full screen. You have the zoo.tsv dataset. Read it into a data frame and tell the mean, median, max, and min to the water need of the zebras in the table. Again, this is a pretty simple task. Nothing tricky is in that. You have just simply go to RStudio and you can do what the task asks. Read it into a data frame. I will show you how the zoo.tsv looks. This is gonna be your first line. I read this zoo.tsv file that has a header and that has tabulators, separators into a table, and this is how my zoo file looks. If you have joined to my previous webinar, you already know this. If you didn't, I will send you this file as well so you can download it. But it has different animals in it: elephants, tigers, zebras, lions, kangaroos, different unique IDs, and the water need of the different animals. And let's check it what they want from us. Read it into a data frame, done, and check the mean, median, max, and minimum value for the water need. These are pretty simple tasks, and what they want us to is to check only for zebras. So first I will type a subset command, subset zoo, which is my data frame, animal is zebra, animal not found, subset zoo, this is pretty strange. Subset zoo animal equals zebra. Yeah, I know what did I wrong. Yes, you don't have to add parentheses to the zoo. Yeah, this is a lame-ish failure, but yes, here are our zebras, and you can simply use the median command with apply zebras to median, and here is your median, 220, and with a very similar command you can print the mean. Yes, the first column wasn't this warning message is about that the first column wasn't an actual integer, so it cannot calculate mean for it, but this is the mean. And the tricky part will be to print the min and the max, because you have to set up an other subset for that. I will clear my console to make it easier to see for you guys. So I will set up another subset of zebras where I select the column water need. Here you go. And I will print the minimum and the maximum value of this column only, like this: minimum, maximum. Done. Again, this is a pretty easy task in R, if you don't miss the apostrophes, as I did. And as I can see, I'm a bit running out of time, but I will show you the business cases and you can again watch back the coding part. And let's go with the business thinking part. This is gonna be, if you pass the statistics and if you pass the coding part, then most probably you will have just very general business thinking questions. Either you can have a big case, what you will have 2 or 3 hours to solve, and as a data analyst you will be asked to present anything from the data that's beneficial from the company, or as a data scientist you have to build a model that will create and it predicts something that's beneficial for the company. Or if you don't have a case, you will have like very general questions. I show you a few of these. What you have to know about these questions, that usually there are no good answers for these questions, and they don't expect you to answer the good answer for these questions. It's more like they want to understand that how you think about these things. But it's good to prepare to these questions. Like the first one could be, what was the most surprising result of A/B testing you got? Well, if you didn't do any A/B tests, then it will be hard to answer this question. And if you didn't, I can tell you it's really easy to do any A/B test. If you go to Facebook and you set up a campaign, an advertisement for anything, and you put $20 on it, you can easily set up your first A/B test and testing 2 different banners. Or if you don't want to spend money on it, I suggest to go to vwo.com, and they have many A/B testing case studies. What they don't like to have here as an answer, the most obvious answers, like I tested red button against blue button and red won, because that's a very common A/B test and a very common answer. Look into different case studies if you haven't done any A/B tests. If you have done, then you can mention any of your A/B tests, and focus on the important things. Like if you did a good A/B test, then focus that with this A/B test I made for that company, or I made for that project that % revenue increase, or 20% active users increase, or anything that's important for the company. Let's say we are a big bank. This is another question. How do you predict if a client can get a loan or not? Again, there is no correct answer for it. Most probably what you will use here is some kind of classification method. Most of the banks are using something called scorecarding, but you can describe here anything that you like I don't know, anything that's close to classification. You can try to describe a decision tree for it, and what the result of this prediction will be. That most probably you will have 2 groups of clients, one who can get loan and the other one who cannot, or you will have 10 groups, and one of those are the best clients, the other end is the worst clients. Yes, in which way would you decide how to change the design of a video game? Again, no clear answer for this, but I made another presentation on this topic. It's 40 minutes long, so I won't tell the whole story here, but before you do any changes, you have to do it usually by A/B testing. And before you do A/B tests, you have to do quantitative researches, and with that, the A/B testing won't be just random guessing. And before you do quantitative analysis, I think that the best thing if you do some qualitative research, user interviews, and with that you can easily start your quantitative analysis. So my answer for this would be: first do qualitative researches, secondly do quantitative researches, and third do A/B tests, and just after that release the change in the video game. But that's just one of the many possible good answers. This was I found this question on Glassdoor, and as far as I know, this was a question on a Facebook interview. If a celebrity starts to use mentions and begins interacting with their fans more, what part of the increase can be attributed to a celebrity using mentions, and what part is just a celebrity wanting to get more involved in fun engagement? And for this, the thing that you have to realize that this is the classical correlation versus causation issue, and every correlation versus causation issue can be solved by A/B testing, but in the case of Facebook, and in this case it would mean that for instance, in this case, half of the mentions that the user use, it won't use actually mentions, so the feature won't work, which is not good for Facebook. At their size, it's not approvable to A/B testing, like pulling back a feature, half of the feature from the users. But that would be the statistic from the correct answer from statistics standpoint. From business standpoint, it's most probably will be something like you investigate in the historical data, you try to find similar patterns by similar celebrities and try to analyze in their cases that what was the effect of mentions. And with that said, we went through on this whole interview: coding part, statistics part, business thinking part, and the only question left that how to practice more. And I generally have two suggestions here. One that I'm keep telling this all the time, to start a pet project, a mini startup for yourself. It does not have to be a startup, but some data project that you are working on, and all these issues, coding, statistics, business thinking, will come up, and you will be better and better to react to this. And they are really similar to real life case studies. And the other thing is that simply you can Google different job interview questions, like I did. And if you go to Glassdoor, for instance, or Reddit, for instance, then you will find the answers there as well. And yeah, that's it. Let me check if anyone's here in the channel. And then after that I will go into your questions. Yeah, I can see that 36 people are still watching. So I will jump on the questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to add them. But the top upvoted question is, what is the path for a fresher to become a data scientist? Good question. I've written an article about it, so I won't go on the whole content on it. It has different steps, and how I see that you have to improve yourself in these three areas that this data science job interview covered: coding, statistics, business thinking. I will send you the article but two things that can help you is first read books that are good books. It's in the article about coding and statistics. I will send this link. The second one is find a mentor who can help you. That's why it's good to go to an internship, or if you go to the university, you might find a good professor or a data scientist friend who you can talk weekly 1 hour and who can help you which way to go. And the third one is the pet project, what I have already mentioned. That's the best way of learning. But more details on the article. Before I answer the second question, I will show you another poll, and it's just for me is please go to slide.do/data36, and the question is that would you like to see similar sample junior data science job interviews on Data36? And it's a good feedback for me if I should have more sessions like this, maybe not in a webinar format, but maybe written. So slide.do/data36. Okay, I give you like 10 more seconds to vote. So slide.do/. Okay, so the answers look like yes, at least 3 more by 57% of the voters. Yes, maybe 1 more would be nice by 33%, and no, this one was enough. And I'm glad that nobody answered that no, this format didn't help me. Okay, thank you for voting, and I go back to your questions. Okay, if I do not have a data science job experience, how do I get myself hired? Everyone needs to hire someone who is already experienced in data science. Everyone. If I do not have a data science job experience, how do I get myself hired? Everyone needs to hire someone. I don't fully get the second part of the question, but I think the question is, or the answer is a bit similar than the previous, than the answer for the previous question, because the article that I have already mentioned is, the title of the article is "How do I get my first job in data science?" So it will be pretty much answering this question. But if I misunderstood something, feel free to type another question about this. You frequently reference your previous videos. Can we get links? Yes. If you go to my blog, you will find... Actually, I will send this in the follow-up email, but if you go to my blog, you will find under the videos that /webinar session, and the previous one is password saved, but I guess I can tell you the password here, and it's not so tricky. It's Data36. So Data36 is the password, so you can watch the previous session of my videos. I refer to articles as well. One article that I refer all the time, I will show you this one. So this is the videos webinar session, and one article that I like to refer is this one, Data Coding 101, how to install Python, SQL, R and Bash for non-devs, and it covers the topic what the title says. Aren't there usually 3 or 5 interview rounds? Yes, sometimes it's even more. When I recently had interviews for myself, so when I got hired, I had 6 job interview rounds last time, and yeah, that's pretty common. So 3 of these are tech screening, statistics screenings, business screening, and 2 or 3 are like HR runs and CV check and discussion with your manager. Do they like you or not? What do you consider the fundamentals of data science? I'm a master computer science student and started looking into some months ago. The fundamentals of data science, I guess that Venn diagram that I projected, it pretty much describes what data science is. It's the mix of statistics, coding, and business thinking. So if you are on computer science, you will be into coding. And as I said, coding is just a tool set for a data scientist. So if you want to go more into data science, consider to take more statistics class and some business classes as well next to your coding and computer science classes. But it's a good fundament for further data science career. Will they really ask for probability practical questions and not more statistical like questions like how to design A/B tests to get statistically significant results? Well, for what I have found that yes, they are usually asked probability practical questions. So these kind of questions. Designing A/B test, it might come up, but it's more like a theoretical question. You can read an article about it, learn it, tell it back. It's designing a good A/B test is it's more like a business. When it needs creativity and practical skill, it's more like a business question or how you think about data research. But if it's from statistical standpoint, A/B testing is a pretty simple case. But I mean, yeah, it can happen. It differs company by company. If I can solve all that coding questions are, will they still insist to do in Python for the interview? No, R is if you can solve it in R, they won't ask for Python. Maybe if the company that you will go for, they might ask Python questions, but in my opinion, the logic of R and Python are so close that if you can solve a question in R, then you will get hired, but it's up to the company. Are there regional differences between US and European data science job? Are there regional differences between US and European data science job requirements? I guess there are not, but I haven't been interviewed in the US. So I live in Europe. I worked for US-based companies and worked with US-based companies as a consultant, and my first company that I worked for, Prezi, was a US-based company. It looked like that the questions are pretty similar, and thanks, this was the issue what I had in R, but I felt like I solved it for myself. But thank you. And I check if there is any questions on YouTube. But actually, as I know, you cannot comment on YouTube, and I will check if anyone is still on YouTube. Okay, 31 is still watching. Guys, thank you for coming today. I will send you the video right when I have it. And yes, basically that's it for today. If you have any more questions, feel free to send me an email or ask on Twitter or anywhere where you can. Yes, everything will be in the email that I will send. And yeah, and one more thing, obviously, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my newsletter, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to everything I have online. And I don't know when the next webinar will be, but if you subscribe to my newsletter list, then you will definitely hear about it. And I guess the next one will be more like about business thinking and research strategies, but I will definitely let you know. And with that said, I will stop the live stream and see you next time, hopefully. Cheers, guys.